4 שנים עמדה ג'ודי רודורן בראש שלוחת הניו-יורק טיימס בישראל. בריאיון ללשכת העיתונות הממשלתית סיכמה העיתונאית היהודייה את התקופה העמוסה ותיארה את האתגר שבהעברת סיפור למי שנמצא אלפי קילומטרים מכאן.
That's basically what we do everywhere, is explain complicated things to people who are not entrenched in them. This place is complicated in a slightly different way than some other places or some other issues, but if you just do reporting and you just try to kind of ask people what's going on, what do you think, what are you doing, what is this about, and use the regular journalistic tools that you would apply to some other place and don't get caught up in some of that craziness, it's not as complicated.
כששאלנו את רודורן על תחרות בין הכתבים הזרים בישראל, היא הצביעה דווקא על תחרות מכיוון בלתי צפוי.
We also compete with all the Israeli organizations because they all publish their stuff in English online, and our editors see that. And maybe the worst thing that ever happened to the Jerusalem bureau chief of the New York Times was the Haaretz alert, because they seem to alert, every time a politician speaks, there's a news alert which my editor gets in New York, and it wakes him up, and he's, what's this? What's the Haaretz alerting?
You cover many security and military events. How are your relations with the IDF?
Sometimes, it's the IDF is a very professional organization in terms of putting out information, and particularly during the 2014 Gaza operation, they were, we had pretty much daily conference calls and regular briefings with generals, not as much as we would like, not as forthcoming as we would like, but they certainly spoke to us.
You took part in covering 2 military operations in Gaza. Can you tell us a little bit about your time during those days?
It's an interesting thing to be there during an operation. Because you sort of carry around your helmet and vest and you're never quite sure when to wear it. I got several times during 2014 calls from my guys in Gaza. Can you call the IDF? All the journalists are saying that this hotel is about to be bombed. Should we leave? Should we not leave?
Did you ever feel that your work put you in danger?
There was an Italian journalist for the AP and a Gazan who were killed doing this story about the unexploded ordnance. So a couple of days before that, this guy from The Guardian had been telling me about that story and that he had reported it and it hadn't run yet. And I had thought to myself, that's a really good story, going out with the Hamas sappers to deal with the unexploded ordnance. I would like to do that story. And the only reason I didn't do it was because I felt a little bit like it wasn't kosher to, sort of go do his story when he'd already done it and it hadn't run yet. And I think if I had gone and done that story, I don't know that we would have been any smarter or any more careful than the guys who got killed. That was the closest I felt like, that could have been me and my fixer.
Both of his hands were open and both of his hands did not have a knife.
התקשורת הזרה סופגת לא מעט ביקורת בישראל על האופן בו היא מסקרת את הנעשה כאן. גל הטרור בחודשים האחרונים הציף את הנושא שוב. רודורן טוענת שהכל בעיני המתבונן.
The ability of people who are advocates for one side or the other to kind of really engage the truth has diminished. People don't need to engage the truth because they're not really engaged with the other side. And so they really see the world in a one-sided, biased way. And when they see coverage that is not that way, they attack it as biased.
4 years is a long time, certainly here in Israel. Are there any moments that you will take with you for the future?
I don't know. I think the stories I've written about individual people that I won't, are just who are struggling and fighting and who welcome me into their homes and tell me their stories. Those are the things that stay with you, and that includes Racheli Frankel. It includes the Syrian refugees that I spent time with in the Zatari refugee camp. This place is filled, the Israeli side especially, filled with people who love to talk and to share their opinion. People have tons of stuff to say here, and that's a journalist's dream.